So my name's Alex, and I'm going to tell you a bit about my traveling. I'm a big fan of traveling. My grandparents have traveled virtually to every single city in every country in the world, my parents as well. And I started traveling as well, but mostly later in my 20s. One of my first trips is what I want to share with you. It was my first trip to Europe, to Poland in fact. So I went with a good friend of mine who I call Subway Steph, and my brother. And we went basically for about 2 weeks for a wedding. So the purpose was to visit this wedding and to see a bit more about the area that I'd never seen before. We also decided to do an excursion. We were staying in Warsaw and decided to do an excursion to Prague, which I heard many good things about. It was about an 8-hour train ride, which we decided to do for some reason during the middle of the day instead of during the evening. So we started the journey very early in the morning. When we got there, we were basically sitting next to each other, so the way that the cabins work, Steph was sitting here, my brother there, and there was a fourth person in the corner, a Polish guy who spoke no English, no French, or anything. So within a few seconds, Steph was managing through signals, and my brother through signals, to indicate that they should go together to the dining cart and start drinking, leaving me alone. At that point, I was looking around, trying to figure out what to do next. I noticed a nice young girl sitting by herself, so I was doing the sociable thing and I introduced myself. She was a typical Polish-looking woman, very round face, blue eyes, blonde hair, and although she didn't speak too much in English, we actually were able to hold a conversation for pretty much the entire journey. It was when we reached at the Czech border that border guys came in. The Polish guards come first with their dogs and their guns, asking for your passport and for your train pass. And I had left my train pass with my friend, so I had to ask the girl, ask the guards, to let them know that, you know, I'm not a stowaway, I have my passport and they have my boarding pass. Those guys left, there was no problem there. Those guys left, the Czech guys came, did the same kind of things with their semi-automatic guns and their dogs. Again, the lady was gracious enough to explain that the passes were in the other cart. And while we're waiting around, the train had to be reconfigured to change tracks. And I noticed and I heard some noises happening in the cart behind me. At this point, I want to make sure you understand I had no cell phone. I had no idea exactly where we were going or who we were meeting in Prague. I was fully dependent on my friend Subway Steph. So when I leaned out the window and I saw the dining cart pulling away from the rest of the train, there was a brief moment of sheer panic. And sure enough, maybe after a couple seconds of it disappearing, two guys jumped out of the track with 2 glasses in each hand, laughing, somehow managed to land without spilling a glass, and they were completely plastered. From their perspective, they were told that the dining cart was closing, and they said no problem. Only when the cart started pulling away, they realized they had to get off. So that was my first introduction to traveling with Subway Steph.